It's another Raw video from your favorite YouTube scout, Draft Raw Authentic. Yes, I am here. It is Saturday. Like I said, I already just made a video of the inside linebackers of the 2018 NFL Draft. And now it's time for the outside linebackers of the 2018 NFL Draft. In this video, I'm splitting it between two categories for the outside linebackers. One is going to be talking about the pass rushers. The next one is going to be talking about the regular outside linebackers, the normal 4-3 outside linebackers. With that, it's about 4 names that I actually have for the regular outside linebackers. I'm not going to name any of those guys that I don't think are that great. But when it comes to the pass rushing guys, I will name some guys that I'm not too high on. But I'm going to go into why I'm not too high on them. But anyway, you know what? Let's just get started. Outside linebacker. First linebacker I'm going to talk about is Boston College Harold Landry. This guy was a top linebacker coming into the year. And if he would have entered the draft last year, he would have been one of the top picks in the draft. The problem that happened with Harold Landry is that one of my favorite YouTube personalities, Flimlo Raps, what he always says about players coming out of college is that when you have a good year, just come out. Don't go back to play another year. Just come out of the draft. There's no point of going back. Because what happens is either you end up going way lower than what you're going to go, or you may sometimes end up being the same, but then there's more questions about you because you put more tape of yourself out there. You want to come out to be able to get that money, to be a higher round pick. Time and time again, we've seen guys go back and they get injured, or they go back and they don't play as well as they did the year before. And this is the case for Harold Landry. He ended up not being as good as he was last year. And there's a lot of questions about him. Now, there was questions about him last year, but now they really showed up. The hip tightness that he has and everything else, just being a natural pass rusher, it's one of those things that you want to back off on him a little bit. And he's one of those guys that has actually dropped in the draft because of that. He's not going to go in the top 10 or the top 15 no more. Now he's looked at as a late first rounder, maybe even second rounder. And he messed that up for himself. So with Harold, I like Harold tape last year. This year the tape wasn't as good, but I do feel as though he can bring something to a team. He's one of those guys, though, that I'm not too big on as an outside linebacker in a 3-4. He's just one of those guys that I feel as though he should be on the strong side only because he can give you some other stuff. But as a pure rush linebacker in a 3-4 or just a situational rush linebacker, I'm not going to be too big on him. But anyway, let's just get to the next name on the list. USC linebacker Uchenna Nwosu, or Esuwu, or something like that. I can't name his name, I'm sorry. But if you've been looking at the draft and, your team is looking for a pass rusher or linebackers, period, this guy from USC is one of the... I love this tape. The high energy, the pass rusher skills. He can drop back in coverage. He can take on blocks. This guy... He's amazing out there on the field. And I just love the tape, the high energy. To me, he's one of those guys that I would take a chance on him in the top 20. I would take a chance on him in the first round. He's one of the more underrated linebackers because you don't hear about him too much. But he's one of those guys that, hey, look, you need someone that can be a pass rusher for your 4-3 or 3-4. Whatever. He's a guy that you would want. He actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Von Miller in terms of that energy that you see. Now, Von Miller didn't drop back in coverage a lot in college, but you see him do it in the league. And that's what this USC linebacker actually reminds me of, is a guy like him. And I think they do actually have the same height, weight, and speed. So it kind of goes, hand in hand. But I'm not saying he will be Von Miller, but he has Von Miller qualities. Anyway, the next name on the list is Georgia linebacker Lorenzo Carter. I like Lorenzo Carter a lot. The thing that I question with him is actually what I question with a lot of linebackers, and it's kind of funny. A lot of linebackers, 3-4 outside linebackers that get into the NFL are former defensive ends in college. You don't see a lot of 3-4 outside linebackers going to the NFL and actually be as good. And it's kind of weird because it's like, you already played a position in college. How are you not that good at it in the NFL? I don't know the exact reason why. Maybe it's because of the pure pass rushing aspect of it. But Lorenzo Carter is actually one of those guys, like even maybe a TJ Watt, who was a 3-4 outside linebacker, who I liked a lot last year, who may come into the league as a guy that played 3-4 in college that will be good in the NFL. Now, the question I have about Lorenzo, though, is the multitude of pass rushing moves. He doesn't have a lot of those, and it has those questions of concern about how would he be in the NFL. And I think that is maybe the main reason why a lot of guys that come out of college as 3-4 guys end up not being as good, because their pass rushing moves are very limited. He's a guy that still gets after the quarterback, but his limited pass rushing really is a concern. But I like the energy. I like the block shedding. I like the way that he plays downhill. To me, in terms of pure 3-4 outside linebackers, he's the best one of the bunch. Even better than the USC linebacker. He is actually better than him in terms of just pure 3-4. But we'll see when he goes into the league. Anyway, the one guy that I'm actually really hyped about as a 3-4 pass rusher is Oklahoma linebacker / defensive end Ogbonnaya Orokonowu. I'm sorry. This is the names are very, very hard to say, and a lot of these guys that are coming out. But if you know who I'm talking about, he's the undersized defensive end / linebacker, 6'2", 255 pounds. He's a guy that has some of the best pass rushing skills in this draft. Very high energy, and he works really, really hard. The guy last year, even into this year, just rushed the passer constantly and knows how to work his hands, knows how to use his speed, knows how to be able to shed the blocks, getting off of blocks, making a tackle in the backfield when it comes to the running backs. But just purely as a pass rusher, I even saw him at the Senior Bowl. The guy was tearing it up. I believe Voch Lombardi, when he did his live Senior Bowl stuff, he actually was talking about him and how he loved this guy a lot. I fell in love with this guy as a pass rusher, as a prospect. To me, he's got something that you're going to really, really like. Now, I'm going to start naming some guys that I'm not too in love with as prospect, but these are guys that have been, names that have been popping around just a little bit. Auburn linebacker / defensive end Jeff Holland, didn't like a lot about him. There's just a lot of stuff that just was a huge concern to me. My fault is I didn't write them all down, but I remember that I just didn't like his tape, like at all. I didn't like none of his games. Yeah, he could, he has a sack here or there, but it was just nothing that he did that said he was a good prospect. The next name on this list is Louisville defensive end James Hearns. He can double as a linebacker, as a defensive end. But this is a guy that I didn't see a lot of tape on him, period. So I can't really say too much about him. But the tape I did saw, it was underwhelming to me. So I know what I saw. It just wasn't as great. And the last name of the pass rushing outside linebacker list is Washington State's Hercules Matatafa. The one thing I hate about this dude is that he played defensive tackle at 250 pounds. And people are forcing him into being like a pass rusher linebacker. To me, I just don't think he can actually do it. He's a guy that just kind of uses speed and athleticism on the inside of the defensive line to be able to make some plays, and he gets into the backfield. But the thing about him is that I think as a college player, that's who he was, and in the NFL, he has no position. maybe a special team guy. Maybe he's a guy that needs to change the fullback. I don't know. But to me, he's a guy that's not worth any pick in any round in this draft, because I don't see what's the value of a guy that if you put him on the outside, he's just going to get stonewalled and he's not going to go anywhere. But anyway, let's get to the next 4 names, and these are the regular 4-3 type of outside linebackers in this draft. And the first name I'm going to name is Shaquem Griffin. Yes, if you've been waiting for me to say his name, Shaquem Griffin is the best linebacker in this draft. The best outside linebacker in this draft. The numbers proved it. The tape proves it. I don't need to go into anything else. This guy can do everything. Now, my inside linebacker video, which you could check out, I mentioned a bunch of guys that have a lot of different traits, but there was one linebacker in that class that I thought has everything that you're really, really looking for in terms of size and the speed, and that was Boise State linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. Compared to UCF Shaquem Griffin, Shaquem just brings a lot more energy than he does. And his leadership skills is amazing. The only thing that's going to hurt him is his one hand. But when it comes down to it, this guy can play. He can play. And there's nothing else I need to say. He should not be considered a 4th or 5th round pick. Shoot, he shouldn't even be considered a 3rd round pick. This guy is a 1st, 2nd round pick all day. And honestly, if he had 2 hands, he would be a top 10 pick. You're looking at a lot of top 10 guys, or a lot of guys that's coming out in this draft. And to me, he's the only linebacker that I would say purely is a top 10 pick. But it's always the question, will him having one hand hurt him when he gets into the league? We'll see. But in college, man, this guy was amazing to watch. My favorite player to watch on tape. Next name on the list is Clemson linebacker Dorian O'Daniel. High energy, but he's very undersized. Kind of like a safety / nickel corner. The athleticism, him being a safety / nickel corner, he's a strong safety to me, honestly. But him playing the linebacker position, we see safeties come into the league and switch to linebacker and be pretty solid at that. I believe 2012, I forgot this dude's name, Levante David. He was a safety that switched to linebacker when he got into the league. One of the better players, linebackers in the league today still. And we look at Deion Buchanan from the Cardinals and stuff like that. This is a guy that I feel as though he can play in that role as well. Abuda Baker is another example. This is who he is. This is a guy that's a safety / linebacker that I feel as though as an outside linebacker, he can do a lot of great things for you. And very underrated. And if your team picks him, you're getting a solid guy. He won't be a downhill thumper type of linebacker, but he's going to give you a lot of high energy and a lot of coverage skills. So watch out for that. That dude, he's going to be pretty special. The next 2 names on this list are 2 guys from South Carolina State. They're both pretty much the same thing. They're all around very fast and quick, versatile linebackers. And that is Darius Leonard and Sky Moore. They were the exact same players that I saw. Nothing was different about each of them. Nothing. They were the exact. They brought a lot of high energy. They brought a lot of speed, a lot of quickness, and they brought a lot of versatility. In terms of just being all around the field, in terms of cover skills, in terms of just tackling, in terms of just doing everything. They are all around type of guys. Darius Leonard is a little bit more all around than Sky Moore, but they still bring the same type of energy, the same type of ability and everything. They're almost even identically the same size. I think Darius is like 5 pounds heavier or 5 or 10 pounds heavier, but in terms of just everything that they do, they're pretty much the same. These 2 linebackers are very underrated. And if your team choosing them, you're getting pretty good linebackers. So those are the last 2 names on the list. Once again, please check out my other videos. The Micah Kiser video, the interview is up. Please check that out. Check out the inside linebackers. I got a lot of names on that list that I named. So please check that out to see what I had to say about some of these guys. And like always, people, if you like this video, please subscribe. If you didn't like what I had to say about a certain prospect, please comment so we can debate. Share this video so other people can join this debate, and a lot of people can join this journey and this community of the draft, and we can build something here. And please hit that like button. I thank you for watching, and like always, people, goodbye.